Hi, folks. It's me again. And it has been a while since I've had a video on YouTube. I just haven't done one in a long time. I can't even remember the last time I did a video. But it struck me that Memorial Day is a good day to do a video with my Vietnam hat, my Vietnam t-shirt. And, as a Vietnam veteran, I'm kind of proud of that now when I used to didn't be because we were so harassed when we came back from Vietnam. But then things kind of changed and things happened, and now people started recognizing us for the veterans we were. And those of us who were fortunate to come back from Vietnam were the ones who were being recognized and saying welcome home when they kind of spit at us and shut us down when we first came home from Vietnam. We weren't very welcome at that time. But Memorial Day, and this is what got me because I asked my daughter if she wanted to barbecue for Memorial Day. Last year's Memorial Day, I barbecued, had a big barbecue. My grandson was still here in Texas with us before he went to Seattle. And we had a big barbecue. We had folks over, and it was a great thing. And I've been doing that traditionally for years and years and years. And then it struck me just this year when I asked my daughter, I said, well, you want to barbecue? She said, no, it's kind of like for Memorial Day. And I said, I guess she's right. Memorial Day was first, and I took down some notes on this thing so I could get it right and not give you any bad information. Memorial Day was first nationally known as Decoration Day, and this was done. It was actually an official observance day in 1868, and the commander of the Grand Army of the Republic, John A. Logan, declared that May 30th would be the official date to remember all of the Union soldiers that died in the Civil War. Okay, and this was a great thing going on, and actually it was just a day of remembrance. So there was no national holiday, there was no observance of anything like that. And then, and I looked at my notes here, the state of New York in 1873 declared that it was an official holiday just for the state of New York. And then by 1890, all of the Union states declared it to be a holiday. And what they were doing was remembering the soldiers who had died during the Civil War. And this went on. The observance of Decoration Day went on from 1869 until 1970. And that's when it ended on the 30th of May. And then in 1971, Congress made an official holiday, and they declared that the day would be served and observed on the last Monday in May. And that's why we have Memorial Day, which is the official beginning of summer, and that's why we have it on a Monday, which gives us that 3-day weekend. And then I thought about all of this stuff and everything. You have parades, you have all of these things, and of course, the veterans, they always have remembrances and they have ceremonies remembering those that died, while everyone else is going out partying and parades and everything. And I get all of these text messages and everything, Happy Memorial Day weekend. And it's not really a happy occasion if you think about it. We're supposed to be remembering all of those veterans who died during the various wars that we've been involved in. And that's what the whole thing was set up for. And that was Decoration Day, which turned to Remembrance Day after the World Wars. The First World War and the Second World War soldiers, there's so many people that have died in wars. And so it became an official holiday to remember those veterans that died and fighting for their country. And there are a lot of people that I personally knew, and I had to write these names down because, when you get as old as I do, you kind of forget some of the things going on. One of the first ones I knew that died in Vietnam was John Key, and he was a good friend of my brother's, and I knew him from high school at Zion Benton. And the other one that I knew from high school was Ken Stackhouse. We wrestled in my junior year of wrestling in high school. We were on the same wrestling team. So those are two people that personally I knew who died while in Vietnam. There may be others that I don't know, and we've gotten away from and out of touch that have died there, but I have known others who have died since being in Vietnam and then coming back home and dying from the results of the Agent Orange and everything else that we breathed and lived in out there. And those veterans that I wanted to mention, Jim Cherry from Zion Benton High School, we were in the same class of 1968. And man, we were talking. The thing about it was, I'll tell you about Jim Cherry because he's kind of special. We went. He was in the Marines, and I was in the Army, and we were both in Fubai, and I was going to this Marine camp on the other side from where our post was. And who did I see? I saw Jim Cherry. I said, Jim. He says, Don. So we met each other while we were in Vietnam, and then when he came back from Vietnam, I was still working and doing things like that. And I went to the Bank of Zion, and there he was working as a teller in the Bank of Zion. So we reminisced some things about Vietnam and all of the things we had seen and shared with right there. We did those things. And then later I found out that he had died from complications from all of the stuff that we were going through there in Vietnam. And there was a cause of his death. And there were others than Jim Cherry from Roland Hill, another good friend of my brother's, and Hank May of Waukegan, another good friend of my brother's. I knew all of those guys growing up and knowing them as in high school, and then knowing them when they got out of high school and going to church and things like that. So it was from complications of the effects that we have. So this is what we should be remembering. Folks like that who gave their lives for the country over a period of time. Not necessarily in the war directly, but over a period of time. Me, myself, and my brother, we both served in Vietnam, and he was in Chulai, and I was in Fubai. I went down to visit him, and I got out of the country. However, now we're suffering the consequences of being over there. Right now, I'm 90% disabled, a direct effect of my being over in Vietnam. My brother, who was in Chulai, is 100% disabled, and so we're getting benefits from the government, but, you got to live like that, and you got to do that. And there are a number of other veterans who, not only in Vietnam, I'm just talking about my brothers who were in Vietnam with me, and I salute you all, because we were given the short end of the stick when we came back from Vietnam. The people from Iraq and the Iraq War and all of the other places, Afghanistan, these things, they were welcomed home very properly, not like we were. We were flown in back in the middle of the night, and they were brought in there. And I'm not saying anything about those guys and disparaging them, because they did their service just like we did our service. The only thing was that the American public wasn't so proud of us. But now they're looking back and saying, well, welcome home. Well, yeah, it's about time. But still, all veterans who served deserve something for the service that they gave to their country. Now, and that's why I've actually changed. No more barbecues for me on Memorial Day. It's going to be a day of remembrance for those who died and those that are dying because of their service to their country and the wars at home and abroad. Because remember, it began with saluting Civil War veterans, not Civil War veterans, but Civil War military people who died because of that war. And so it's a national holiday now, and it's a holiday that we should look at as being a remembrance day. And I like that better than Memorial Day. Yeah, we memorialize people, but it's a remembrance of those that gave their lives fighting for this country, and those that gave their lives fighting for democracy. That's what this day is all about. So yeah, no more barbecues for me. Not that I'm not going to eat barbecue on Memorial Day, but no more for me. No more big parties and things like that. And the whole thing was, and you think about it, Decoration Day was that they would go and they decorate the graves of the Union soldiers who had passed away in the various cemeteries around the North. And then it caught on, and one of the ladies who was noted for that said she did Union and Confederate soldiers. And that's how it became to grow and to remembering military members who died because of their service to the country during a war. And so we're remembering those things. And now it's even growing to the point that there are many of us who are going to die because of what we did in the war, but we're still alive today. So remember us when we're gone. Well, I'm not saying I'm going to die right now, but remember us when we're gone, because the complications we have from our service in Vietnam is leading us to much earlier death than some people would like to think. And so I accept that. And one thing I know that I accept that is because my God is always taking care of me in sickness and in health. In everything that I do, I just trust God for taking care of me and being with me. If I go tomorrow, if I go next week, so be it. I'll be with him, and that'll be a good thing for that. Well, that was my little 2 cents on Memorial Day and what we should be doing about Memorial Day. The parades, recognition, it's for those that are alive, and that can be done on Veterans Day. Okay. And it can also be done on Armed Forces Day, which is earlier in May. But for Memorial Day, we should be paying tribute and honor to those that died in the service of their country. Well, that's it for now. Well, thanks a lot for just being with me for this little bit of time and listening to me go on about Memorial Day and everything like that. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. I don't care, but I just appreciate all my viewers and all subscribers and everything like that. And, we'll see you on the next time.